I'm Dana Denha, and you are watching FYI. Ann Arbor searched for environmentally friendly ways to control overgrowth at parks throughout the area. Step back in time to experience an old-fashioned method of brush control. Gallup Park has gone to the goats as they work overtime clearing invasive plant species from 2 park islands.
Goatscaping is using goats to clear areas that are overgrown with invasive species and prep the area for the owners to be able to use it in a way that they would like to have it used. They have areas that they wanted to try and get cleared. They don't want to use chemicals if they don't have to. Especially being right by the water, you don't want to have sprays and stuff like that. So it was a good match for what they needed done.
10 goats worked around the clock, clearing honeysuckle, buckthorn, and even poison ivy.
Don't have to go anywhere with them. They're comfortable in this setting here, and they'll bed down when they're ready to take a rest, and that's all they need. People are becoming more aware of the using of the chemicals and stuff, that they're trying to get away from that. And I think a lot of things are going back to the older ways of doing business, you know.
Stay tuned and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Fire suppression techniques have come a long way since the inception of the area's first organized fire department in Ann Arbor in the 1930s. Watch as kids learned about the history with hands-on activities at the 2019 Fire Muster. Organized fire suppression services in America date back to the Civil War, and you can experience this life-saving history right here in Washtenaw County.
Welcome to Riverside Park in Ypsilanti. Every year the Firehouse Museum sponsors what's called a muster. And the muster is a gathering of antique fire trucks for display purposes, some of which are pumping and some are just show how trucks can be restored.
Kids got in the driver's seat as they took on the role of firefighter.
We were able to shoot the water hose over there, which was really fun. We rang some bells. We got to sit in the fire trucks. Firefighters have been awesome. They were able to let us sit and pretend to drive the trucks and push buttons, so really nice people out here.
There's a hand pumper, and the kids can go actually pump the hand pumper and then spray water at the hose house, pretending like they're putting out an actual fire.
Thank you to Ypsilanti for putting on this great event. It gives the kids a chance to get up close, you know, to the fire trucks, which they wouldn't have an opportunity to do that without them providing this. So thank you to all the men and women out here.
There's no better way to celebrate America's independence than watching bright lights bursting in the air. Before you put on your own fireworks display, there's some pertinent safety information. Learn more about fireworks safety and laws in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi there, Mike Kennedy, Fire Chief, Ann Arbor Fire Department, here to talk about fireworks safety for the upcoming holiday. Fireworks in the city of Ann Arbor can only be shot off on July 3rd, 4th, and 5th between 8 a.m. and midnight on those 3 days. Fireworks are not allowed to be displayed on city parks, on city right-of-way, or city streets. And you have to have permission from any property owner that you're going to set them off at. You are responsible for any damage or fires that's caused by fireworks, and we always recommend that the safest fireworks are those that you go and see by a professional display at a safe distance. The July 4th holiday is the #1 day of the year for ER visits, and a lot of that is attributable to fireworks. So we hope everyone has a happy and safe July 4th holiday. If you're going to see fireworks, please go to a professional display. Thank you.
We live in an area with plenty of air traffic, but there's so much more than just airplanes at the Thunder Over Michigan Air Show. After taking a year hiatus, the show is back and changing the way we can experience this high-flying action. Joining me is Kevin Walsh, Executive Director of Thunder Over Michigan. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks, Dan. Pleasure to be here.
You know, talk about taking this year off and really feeling the need, because you were unsure. When you were planning this, there was a lot of uncertainty. We're more in a clearer area now than we were. But, you know, talk about really feeling that need to bring back the air show in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, tough decision, real tough decision, but a responsible decision, on the part of our team. We had that show for 21 years straight. And the very thought of, well, wait a minute, we're not going to have it, for a year. But it was such uncertainty last year. And knowing what we know, we're glad we did it. It was the responsible thing to do. But, it's a primary fundraiser for the Yankee Air Museum. It's the marquee event for the Yankee Air Museum. And it's really a marquee event for Southeast Michigan. So it was, always our goal was to immediately get back on track as soon as possible. And of course, we are in 12 months later, a very different position than we were last year. And thank goodness that we are, and things are opening back up and people are able to enjoy these special events. So we're excited to bring it back to the community.
Before we really dive into the air show, what's happening at the Yankee Air Museum? Can people visit now?
So we were actually back online the end of June last year with restrictions in place, of course, in both capacity and mask wearing and social distancing and all the things that, you would see everywhere. But we got back and engaged as quick as possible with the public. We're a public facing entity. And when you don't have the public here, it's a tough go business wise. So, like with most businesses, but we were able to get back online. We were able to fly limited loads of aircraft last year and passengers. And now we're back in full swing. We're flying full load passengers this year on our historic aircraft flying collection. We have 5 different airplanes to choose from, and the museum is back fully open, all displays, all exhibits, and we're excited. We're excited to be back doing what we do best.
Well, you mentioned that Thunder Over Michigan is one of the biggest fundraisers for the museum. Talk about the museum and how it really is so important to this area and that we keep supporting it.
It's a gem of a cultural institution, really. And it's not just about airplanes. We celebrate everything that's an American, everything is from the American aeronautical industry, innovation, and in particular, all the design and all the stories that go along with aviation. But more importantly, our museum, our events, our rides on airplanes, we hope that we're inspiring folks, not to inspire them to go into aviation, but just to inspire them, to be proud of the national accomplishments that this country has done. When we look back in time, we look back in history, it is an incredible journey the aeronautical industry has taken, but also socially that we've taken, all the way back from World War II. And if people don't really think about World War II and the social ramifications of Rosie the Riveter, but it was a dynamic shift. It was a paradigm shift in, women in the industrial workplace. And it's, all those sort of things. We hope that people come here, they hear the stories and they think, that's inspiring me to go do something big, because that's what our country's done. We've done big things.
And the whole thing is, if you don't know your past, you can't really change the future for the better.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. It really, and that's a great way to put it, is it is a walk down a path. It's in history, to learn about everything that's kind of gone on in the industry, that has gone on in education of the industry. It's a fantastic walk. It really is. And the historic flying aircraft collection, when you book a ride and you go up in one of these aircraft, it's not an airplane ride. It's a visceral experience. It's stepping back in time where you don't have soundproofing in the airplane, and that you can smell the engine exhausts, and you get a feel for just how raw aviation was, because we get on our aircraft and we fly our commercial airplanes from destination A to B, and the goal there is to be as comfortable as possible. And our type of flying takes you back to the earlier years of aviation, and people love it. I mean, it's just, and people come and do it again and again and again because there's nothing like it.
Well, this is sort of the great thing about going to the Thunder Over Michigan show, because you're experiencing all kinds of aviation at the show. Talk about this year, and it's different this year, is that you're putting in some safety protocols, which I will say I still appreciate, because I'm one of those people that is not quite ready to just be like, life's normal now. I have a daughter who's not vaccinated. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that the show is really thinking about the safety of everybody there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the dynamic of how the show is being put together this year started with the idea of following important Department of Health and Human Services guidelines, and creating a show that really was I hate to use the term COVID friendly, I guess, if you want to use a term. But we didn't switch back, even though things are really opening up. We haven't switched back, and it has a lot to do with a lot of variables, really. There is a threshold, first off, that you can produce an event to a certain point, and to shift back again, now you're going to affect the quality of the product, number one. Number two, we recognize that people have all sorts of different levels of comfort. Okay, perfect. We'll stick into this model. Something we don't talk about much with our fans is that there is a heavy amount of construction at this airport. And we didn't talk about the amount of construction at the airport 3-4 months ago, because we were really contending with the pandemic. And so the drive-in model that we're talking about, really, we didn't have to talk about the construction because we were talking about a pandemic. Now that things have changed regarding the pandemic, the construction is still there, and it's still a big concern, a safety concern. And so when you talk about safety, we're talking about safety in both health, but we're also talking about safety of the airfield, the gates, where people walk.
Physically, yeah.
And so we made a very tough decision to say, okay, let's stay the course. Flipping and flopping back and forth, and our ticket holders have been so amazing. They've followed us through this path, through the cancellation of last year, to the applying credits for the next 2 years, and everybody's been amazing about it. So we don't want to throw them another curveball less than 90 days before the event. So we're going for quality, we're going for safety, we're going for comfort, but we are going to open the show up. And this is publicly the first time we've really talked about this. This sort of is coming out in the next week or so. We're going to open up the show, and there will be a static display component. There will be food vendors. There will be a kids zone. There will be helicopter rides for those that want to engage in that. For those that want to, be comfortable and stay beside their car, perfect. And what we found was too that the shows that did a drive-in last year, the approval ratings were in the 90th percentile of people saying never go back to a traditional show again.
Wow.
Because they don't want to lug all their stuff 3/4 of a mile from their car, through fields, through gates, across pavement, and for the families that come and bring young children, for all the parents out there that have young children, you know what it's like to make the trek back and forth. And so it's something that we're excited to experiment with, but we also want a little bit of sense of normal. And that's why we've opened up the static display and some of these other opportunities for folks that do want to wander around. Now, the big change, though, for us is there's 2 shows each day. Normally, you come to an air show, it's an all-day event, but what we've found is people come and they go. The majority of the crowd does not stay the whole time. So we've sort of turned it into a movie theater. We're going to show an air show in the morning, we're going to have the crowd come in, and then the crowd's going to leave. In the afternoon, we're going to repeat the show again. Now, the morning one will feature the F-35 demo, and the afternoon will feature the United States Air Force Thunderbird. So you pick which one you'd like to come to. They're the same price, but you come for one show. We've had people buy tickets for both shows. They want to stay all day. Great. That's fantastic.
Well, you got your car. You can use your air conditioning if you need to cool off or anything like
correct.
that.
Yeah. The only reason you're going to leave your car is to use a washroom facility. That's the only reason you're going to leave your car if you want to. But we also are going to create an environment where people are going to be able to go up and, meet and greet with pilots and see the static display airplanes. But again, the two-show concept is something very different. So we're trying a lot of different things this year, and we can't ignore what other customers of other shows have said and the results. There's some shows that are never going back to a traditional show again. So they're gonna stay with the drive-in format.
Well, I like this nostalgia idea too of the drive-in format, because you don't really get a chance to drive in anywhere anymore. And I do like how you mentioned your car is sort of like your home base when you're away from your house. So you keep everything in there. So it is more convenient to have the car. What about, when you typically would go to a movie drive-in, you'd have some sort of audio device so you could hear. So you're having sort of a morning radio show, afternoon radio show thing happening, and you'll have a device for your car too.
So we're going to go simulcast on one of our partner stations with Entercom Radio Group, that they're dedicating a morning and an afternoon block. So simulcast the show, which is really exciting. But we will also have projected sound like normal. But to make sure we get that sound all the way to the back, we're going to do the simulcast too, which is again another brand new feature of the show this year. So there won't be any problems hearing, whether you listen to it on your phone, whether you listen to it in your car, however you want to do that. But yeah, it's interesting. I love the analogy of your home base and having the car so close to you. In all your amenities, and we're encouraging folks to bring their own food, bring their own non-alcoholic beverages. We're keeping it a dry event, and we're asking that there's no tailgating either, no barbecuing, throwing the football around, etc. But people will be able to move around and actually enjoy the show. Traditionally, the seating option now will be by your car versus out in the middle of a field, where for a lot of folks there's no cover. So now if kids get hot, if it's windy, you have that ability. If it's too sunny, you've got an option to kind of cool off and relax and enjoy the show. So
yeah, and if you can't see well from the inside of your car, you can always step on out of your car, bring some chairs with you.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring every amenity. We ask no 10 by 10 canopies or anything like that. They actually become very dangerous in the wind. We've seen a lot of damage done by those. But bring personal umbrellas, bring chairs. You have a 20 by 20 space. So your car is not your only space. You have a large space to the passenger side where you literally have your own personal patio area.
It's like a picnic. You can have like a picnic out there. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned, because you canceled last year's show, so some people had tickets and stuff, and you sort of transferred their tickets. Are tickets still available? Can we get tickets to this year's show?
Yeah, so tickets are available at yankeeairmuseum.org. Tickets are available for all 4 shows right now. They're selling fast, so the Monday and the afternoon show for both Saturday and Sunday, 7th and 8th of August. Tickets for last year, for those that bought tickets for last year before the cancellation, we actually gave them complimentary tickets for this year's show and for the 2022 show. So we went above and beyond. We didn't just transfer the ticket to the following year's show. It hurts us, but we want to take care of our customers. And it was a painful decision to make, but the customers were really shocked when we gave them two years worth of tickets at the end of the day. Before we fully canceled the show. So a lot of folks are using those tickets this year, and they'll have tickets for next year's show too.
Oh, extremely generous of you. It was something you really did not have to do that for people.
We didn't, but what we watched, the best of the best businesses did, they went above and beyond during this pandemic. And when they had to cancel something, we looked at what they were doing. We used models that were similar and just really appreciated and watched how fans and customers react when, you not only give them the value of their money, but you give them more of the value of their money.
Well, this year has sort of a subtitle. It's dubbed Mitchell Madness. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. So when we started the show in 1999, one of the key themes was to always do gatherings or salutes to specific aircraft that nobody else is doing in the world. So we tried to always break world records with gatherings. This year, we're honoring the amazing World War II era B-25 Mitchell bomber We own one ourselves, the museum here, and give rides in it. But right now we're looking to have a world gathering of these type aircraft. And really where that comes in is not only is it neat to see that many of one type on the ground, but in the air. And, again, you get back to that visceral experience, seeing 15, 16, 17 B-25s in the air. It's this constant drone that is just so loud and so exciting. And you don't have to even love aviation. It's just amazing to see that many big, huge airplanes in the air because you just don't get to see it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't live too far, so I'll see some stuff, from my house. And me and my husband and daughter always go, yeah, check that out. It's so cool. It's just like a neat thing. And that was something else I wanted to mention. There are limited spots, but if you look up to the skies, if you live in the area, you can definitely see some of the action.
You will get to see a little bit of the action. I always say to people, they say, "Oh yeah, I've seen it in my backyard." Oh, I park.
It's not the same. I've been there. It's not the same.
Yeah, when you get into the part of the airport, and this is the only time that the airport, the air shows and aviation events are the only conduit to aviation. So any other day of the year, you come to the airport and you've got 8-10 foot barbed wire fencing and no access, and you can't meet anybody that's inspiring. You can't come in and see the hardware. You can't do any of that stuff, and that's all part and parcel to the show's uniqueness. Is it opens that, it gives you that conduit to aviators and to the magnificent machines that they fly. So we always encourage folks to say, yeah, you do see something, but what you see here on site, is way different than what you see.
It's like a tiny preview of what you could see if you actually went to I remember as a kid going to the Selfridge Air Show, and I still like those memories are real to me today. Like I remember that was fun. I loved it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it is something it's something that you'll remember too, and you take your kids there and they can remember it too.
Yeah. It's like watching the band get out of the tour bus and go into the building versus watching the concert. You come on site, you watch the concert, you get a glimpse of maybe the band going from a vehicle into a building. That's the kind of the equivalent on the outside.
So you mentioned a little bit about what we could see. Can you want to tease the show? What are we going to see at the 2021 Air Show?
Yeah. So, because of a whole bunch of shifts and cancellations around the country, we're able to pick up the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. And they are the ambassadors in blue for the United States Air Force. Really a big favorited team. They've only been here twice in their 22 years. So this will only be the third time they've ever appeared at Thunder over Michigan. So we're super excited to have them back. Now they'll be staging because of construction. They're going to stage at a Selfridge Air National Guard base, but they're going to come over and do a full performance over Willow Run, which is just spectacular. And then keeping with the Air Force theme, the F-35 demo. We have Major Kristen callsign Beowulf. She's going to put the F-35, which is our 5th gen tip of the spear, most modern fighter in the world. She's going to put that through its paces at a low level, high performance demonstration that is just eye watering, to be honest. It's just an incredible jet, an incredible pilot. And we can't wait to have her on site demoing this aircraft. And then other modern military aircraft and other vintage aircraft flying, including our flagship B-17 has a segment that will be joined by a number of P-51 Mustangs and a fighter escort segment that we're going to do, which is always a crowd favorite to see the B-17 fly with what they used to call in World War II little friends. It's the fighter escort. So.
Well, before we go, why should people get online, today and book their tickets to the air show?
Well, with the drive-in format, there's only so many spaces. And that's not normal for an air show. We never really have a capacity problem at an air show. We only have room for 2,000 cars, and that's it. So when the 2,000 tickets are sold, that's it. We are not taking cash at the gate. We're not selling more tickets. We can't create more ground. So that's the best reason for folks to get online and buy a ticket today. Don't wait, and make your plans to to bring folks with you, that invite your neighbors, your friends, relatives or whatever, but bring whatever's legally allowed in your car. How many seat belts? Bring as many folks as you want to for that one ticket price.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Kevin.
Yeah, Dana, it was a pleasure. We'll talk.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.